In 1998, a game released on the original PlayStation in an era dominated by platform mascots and arcade shooters. Then a man named Hideo Kojima delivered something radically different. He called it tactical espionage action, an immersive experience that blurred the line between cinema and interactivity in ways I didn't believe was possible. An experience that got inside your head and broke the fourth wall, even reaching out to you beyond the screen itself. It was a moment in time when video games grew up, and it's probably the best game on the PlayStation, and that game is Metal Gear Solid.
Broretro.
So before we get into all the juicy detail, let me share my own experience with this game. I was around 13 years old when I first encountered Metal Gear Solid, and it wasn't through a magazine or a trailer, nope, it was through my dad. He was playing it on his chip PlayStation, you know the one, and from the moment I saw it on the screen, I knew this was something very different.
A surveillance camera?
It didn't feel like watching someone just play a game. It felt like watching a movie unfold in real time. When my dad finally handed me the controller, everything changed from that point in time. I remember we played it together, sitting on the floor trying to work out how to get through each area without being spotted, eating snacks while watching the cutscenes, and trying repeatedly to beat each boss. There were no YouTube videos back then, so it was just trial and error. And because of that, this game over screen is burnt into my head forever.
What's wrong? Snake! Snake!
When we did finally see those credits roll, I was overcome with a flood of emotion and, to be honest, lost for words. Looking back, it remains one of my strongest gaming memories, not just because Metal Gear Solid was a great game, but because it changed how I saw gaming from that point on. It was something you experienced, and that experience stayed with me for a very, very long time.
Are you listening?
Before MGS released on the PlayStation in '98, its origins already stretch back over a decade. The franchise actually began in 1987 with the original Metal Gear on the MSX computer in Japan, followed by Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake in 1990, and in that same year they released a separate NES title called Snake's Revenge, but this was created without Kojima's involvement. So who is Hideo Kojima? For anyone who doesn't know, he joined Konami as a young designer in 1986, bringing with him a fascination with film and storytelling. Something that was evident from the very beginning, with the original Metal Gear artwork clearly ripping off Kyle Reese from the Terminator. But before Metal Gear, Kojima cut his teeth as an assistant director on Penguin Adventure in '86. He also worked on some ambitious point-and-click adventure games. Snatcher in 1988, which is heavily inspired by Blade Runner, and its spiritual successor, Policenauts, in '94. I never played these games, unfortunately, but they were highly praised at the time. When the PlayStation was announced, Kojima saw a chance to expand his vision.
3D のポリゴンでぐるぐるぐるぐる360度動けるっていうことになっていくとですね、僕のその拙いスクリプトでは当然表現できないんですよ。で、アドベンチャーゲーム2本作ったんですけども、やっぱりこれからはプログラマーさんと仲良くしてですね。
The original games were definitely limited by the hardware of the time. But this new console changed everything. With its CD-based format and much greater processing power, it was finally possible to create a stealth game with realistic 3D environments, professional voice acting, and cinematic sound design. To achieve this, Kojima and his team went to extraordinary lengths for accuracy. In the early stages, a real-life SWAT team demonstrated vehicles and explosives, giving the developers a real-world perspective. Weapons expert Mutosada Mori was brought in as a military advisor, and the team visited firing ranges to study how firearms behaved in reality. And also credit has to go to Yoji Shinkawa at the helm as the art director. He brought a unique ink-painted art style to the concept art, and I must say his artwork is incredible, and it definitely inspired me to pursue a career in art and design. Kojima decided the third entry in the series needed a new identity. Rather than call it Metal Gear 3, he chose the title Metal Gear Solid. The word solid was a reference to the fully formed polygonal graphics, and also tied directly to the protagonist's codename, Solid Snake. Here's a fun fact. To plan the levels and camera angles, Kojima used Lego blocks and action figures to visualize how spaces would feel before any code was written. When Metal Gear Solid was revealed, it quickly captured attention. The marketing for this game was extensive, and Konami reportedly spent a significant amount of money promoting the game, including demonstrations in stores, and an estimated 12 million demo discs were distributed, helping build massive awareness. Metal Gear Solid first arrived in Japan in September 98, quickly followed by a release in the United States in October, with Europe receiving the game a few months later in February of 99. It even released on PC a year later, and this is the version I'm playing. The game was a critical and commercial hit. When it released, it topped rental charts and became one of the top-selling PlayStation titles of all time. The game sold over 7 million copies worldwide and received awards and recognition across the industry, and carved a path in history where Kojima's name would become legendary. In many ways, Metal Gear Solid was a turning point. It took ideas from earlier games and fused them into an experience that felt cinematic, emotionally engaging, and far more sophisticated than most titles of its era. And at the heart of that innovation was the incredible gameplay.
But first I want some information.
MGS was built around one idea: avoid detection. From the very beginning you feel it. You're a spy, not a soldier. Every guard appeared on the map with a clear cone of vision, showing precisely where they could see and how far their vision extended. And guards reacted not only to sight, but sound as well.
What was that noise? Huh?
If you step into an enemy's line of sight, the world state changes instantly. An alert sounds and guards will stop at nothing to hunt you down. Now it's no longer just a stealth mission, it's a game of cat and mouse. Importantly, the radar on screen becomes unusable whenever you're in alert or evasion modes, forcing you to rely on keen observation rather than just relying on the technology. When the counter does finally hit zero, the world state relaxes, eventually returning to infiltration mode, letting you slip forward undetected. Despite its leap into 3D, the game maintains an overhead perspective reminiscent of the original 2D Metal Gear games. Certain sequences shift the camera dramatically, like when Snake hugs a wall or going into a first-person view, even when crawling through vents, making the world feel fully three-dimensional. Shadow Moses itself is designed as a series of interlinked spaces. It isn't a sprawling open world, but every area feels intentional. The corridors can seem linear at first, but areas open up, forcing you to think about your approach. The level design supports the stealth gameplay, emphasizing the use of the environment and enemy patrol patterns to your advantage. Speaking of the environment, the brilliance of MGS is how it turns everything into a tool. Snake can crawl under objects and distract guards with a well-timed noise. Even a simple cardboard box can be the ultimate camouflage.
Just a box.
You could use a bottle of ketchup to break out of prison.
What the hell?
And even cigarettes. Yeah, they could reveal infrared lasers and also kill you. The user interface was just as deliberate as the gameplay. Weapons are mapped to the right side of the screen, while gadgets and items are on the left. A simple but elegant split that made every decision feel tactical. MGS also introduced close quarters combat, or CQC, as we all know and love. Snake could knock out enemies with a combo of attacks, or grab enemies and choke them unconscious, or quietly snap their necks, reinforcing that even your hands are deadly weapons too. Speaking of weapons, at the center of it all was the SOCOM pistol. It was precise and perfectly suited to stealth. You could attach a suppressor and it became Snake's most reliable tool. The FAMAS assault rifle offered raw stopping power, but at the cost of noise and visibility. And the PSG-1 sniper rifle slowed down the game, turning long-range combat into a test of nerves, with the help from diazepam, of course. Explosives like grenades and C4 were situational, used for environmental puzzles just as much as combat. And then you had the Nikita, a remote-controlled missile launcher. And then there was the Stinger that could lock onto targets and also blow stuff up, especially this annoying thing here. Non-lethal options mattered as well. Stun grenades and shaft grenades had the ability to avoid combat entirely, forcing the idea that you were not a one-man army. Each choice of engagement was up to you. The game never told you the correct way to play, only giving you the consequences for your actions.
What was that noise? Huh? Just a box.
And if you ever got lost, the codec is always there. From gameplay tips to narrative exposition, your allies guided you, and even giving you a telling off if you forgot to save. It's practical and it makes you feel part of a real operation.
People who have been through war and survived develop a kind of sixth sense to warn them of danger. Trust your instincts as a soldier, as a gamer.
Now, let's talk about boss fights. These weren't just enemies, they were confrontations. Each one was a character study, a test to check if you're paying attention.
Revolver Ocelot.
The first true test of the game sets the tone immediately. Ocelot is an interrogator and a man obsessed with revolvers. This fight teaches you patience, positioning, and listening for reloads. It immediately establishes the game's core philosophy: think before you shoot.
You're pretty good.
This is your first large-scale battle.
That's right, you belong on the ground.
Vulcan Raven appears as a force of nature, commanding a tank across the snowfield. Shaft grenades disrupt the tank's targeting systems, and grenades do the real damage. It's a lesson in tactical thinking.
In battle, he is as if possessed by a demon.
This fight removes everything you've learned.
Neither enemy nor friend. I am back from a world where such words are meaningless.
Grey Fox appears, moving faster than anything you faced before. The solution is counterintuitive. Put your weapon away and use hand-to-hand combat. This fight is personal.
I felt that, Snake. Do you remember me now?
This is the moment where Metal Gear Solid becomes legendary.
I warn you. No, there's no need for words, Snake. I'm Psycho Mantis.
Psycho Mantis doesn't just read Snake's mind, he reads yours. He comments on your save data, actually reading the contents of your memory card. Unfortunately, you cannot replicate this on the PC version.
You like Castlevania, don't you?
He predicts your movements and he feels unbeatable, until you realize the solution exists outside of the game.
Why? Why couldn't I read your mind?
You had to physically switch the controller to the second port to break the illusion. I had never seen anything like it before, and honestly, I still haven't since. It was genius, a trick that could only exist in video games, and only at that moment in time.
No! It cannot be! No!
Your first encounter with Sniper Wolf isn't a typical boss fight.
Meryl, get down! Meryl!
In the narrow underground passage, she owns the space. There's nowhere to run, and the moment you step forward, it's game over. So you draw the first shot, pop that diazepam to steady your aim, and only then do you understand the truth of this encounter. Sometimes the only way forward is to face your problems head on. When you think you've got her defeated, the game throws a spanner in the works.
A lady sniper, huh?
Didn't you know that 2/3 of the world's greatest assassins are women?
And what happens next is a scene that many players found uncomfortable. After being captured, Snake is subject to torture by Revolver Ocelot.
Okay, let's get started.
There's no clever trick, no hidden exploit, just a simple instruction: endure. You must repeatedly mash the button to survive electronic shocks that grow stronger each time, and your hands start to ache.
Shall we go again?
What made this moment so powerful wasn't the mechanic, it was the choice. You could give up. You could submit and spare yourself the pain, and the game allowed it. But the game also remembered. It blurred the line between player and character in a way few games have ever attempted.
We're not finished yet.
So, after the torture scene, Liquid finally enters the fray in the Hind D. Missiles rain from above while Snake scrambles for cover. The Stinger is the answer. This is spectacle.
See you in hell, Liquid. That takes care of the cremation.
Sniper Wolf faces Snake again in the snowfield. The mechanics are familiar, but the tone is different. This time, it's about closure. And when it ends, the game pauses and forces you to listen.
I finally understand. I wasn't waiting to kill people. I was waiting for someone to kill me. A man like you.
Raven returns, no tank this time, just brute strength and an autocannon. This fight is a game of cat and mouse, but this time, you're the mouse. Claymores and launchers are your best friends here. When he falls, you learn about Decoy Octopus's deception. Even in death, he leaves his mark.
There's always an end to it, but you are different.
Liquid! Snake!
This is what everything has been building toward. Every boss was designed to be remembered, and this formula became a staple for the franchise moving forward. And when you complete the game, you quickly realize there isn't just one ending, there are two. During Ocelot's torture scene, the game gives you a choice: submit or endure. Depending on your choice, the tone changes, and it's a reminder that your decisions have consequences. But Metal Gear Solid didn't stop there. Finish the game and it rewards you with new tools that fundamentally change how you play.
Look, I found this.
You can unlock the bandana, granting you infinite ammunition on your next playthrough. Or you can receive the stealth camouflage, which has always been my personal favourite. And even on a third playthrough, you could unlock the tuxedo for Snake. The gameplay and level design is carefully tuned to create an emotional experience, grounded in world building and storytelling that holds everything together.
Oh, I can't wait to hear this.
Set in 2005, where the Cold War never truly ended, and the shadow of nuclear conflict still looms. The story begins with a rogue special forces unit known as Foxhound seizing control of a remote Alaskan island codenamed Shadow Moses. Their demands are simple: deliver the remains of the legendary soldier Big Boss within 24 hours. And of course, there is only one man for the job: Solid Snake. Long retired, is pulled back into the shadows by Colonel Roy Campbell. He is asked to infiltrate the island and stop Foxhound before they can trigger a global catastrophe with a nuclear-capable walking tank.
Metal Gear.
Snake's infiltration begins. Inside, he discovers the first hostage, DARPA Chief Donald Anderson, who reveals the secret to stopping Rex. But before he can fully explain, he dies of what seems to be a heart attack. Soon after, Snake encounters another hostage, Armstech President Kenneth Baker, only to be ambushed by Revolver Ocelot. Their duel is interrupted by a mysterious cyborg ninja who slices off Ocelot's hand and vanishes. Baker reveals more about Rex, but then dies the same way Anderson did. 2 heart attacks? This can't be a coincidence. Snake soon meets Hal Otacon Emmerich, the chief engineer behind Metal Gear Rex, a man who built the weapon without understanding its true purpose. Otacon is devastated by what he's created and agrees to help Snake destroy it. The cyborg ninja reveals himself to be Grey Fox, Snake's former ally and friend, now reduced to a living weapon.
Oh, what next?
Snake defeats each member of Foxhound, piecing together a web of lies and conspiracies. The mastermind behind it all finally steps into the limelight. He reveals that he has been impersonating Snake's advisor, Master Miller. Liquid Snake is Snake's identical twin, and both are products of Les Enfants Terribles, a cloning project designed to recreate Big Boss. Snake learns the truth behind the heart attacks. A genetically engineered virus called Foxdie.
It can't be.
Secretly injected into Snake himself. Every Foxhound member he encounters is marked for death. A deceptive action by the government so they could retrieve Rex undamaged.
That's right.
This sets the stage for the ultimate confrontation, the towering Metal Gear Rex. In the chaos, Grey Fox returns, sacrificing himself to save Snake. His final words are not of hatred, but peace. After a bare-knuckle fistfight, a vehicle chase ensues, and Liquid somehow escaped. But moments later, he too is claimed by Foxdie. Snake survives and escapes the island with a new perspective on life. And in the aftermath, Colonel Campbell officially erases Snake from existence. Naomi Hunter, the scientist behind Foxdie, warns Snake that the virus will eventually kill him. And in the final twist, Revolver Ocelot reveals himself as a double agent, hinting at conspiracies reaching all the way to the highest levels of power. It's a great tale of espionage and government conspiracies, and there is so much more nuance to the story that I didn't discuss. You really do need to experience it for yourself. Now, let's talk about the sound design for this game.
It's too quiet.
MGS didn't just play differently, it sounded different too. Rather than wall-to-wall action music, the score was often faded into the background. When the music did rise, it was deliberate. In cutscenes, there is a more cinematic score with prominent orchestral and choral components.
Do you think love can bloom, even on a battlefield?
Yeah, I do. I think at any time, any place, people can fall in love with each other.
The musical score of Metal Gear Solid was composed by Konami's in-house musicians, overseen closely by Hideo Kojima himself. Overall, the score is fantastic and sets the mood for the game perfectly. But the soundscape wasn't just about music. You've most likely heard Metal Gear Solid's iconic sounds even if you've never played the game. And also, this game was one of the first console titles to fully embrace cinematic voice acting as a storytelling tool. David Hayter's performance as Solid Snake became legendary. He was calm and restrained and slightly weary. Snake sounded like a man who had already seen too much war.
I'm the pawn they sent here to save your worthless butt.
Opposite him was Cam Clark as Liquid Snake. He was theatrical, charismatic, and emotionally raw. A villain not driven by power but by resentment.
You and I are both the last surviving sons of Big Boss.
There was also some amazing supporting performances that elevated the world even further, even from the legend that is Jennifer Hale. You might know her work as Commander Shepard from Mass Effect, and she voices Naomi Hunter. It was one of the first times a video game sounded truly cinematic, and the critics, they noticed.
Plausible deniability, huh?
When the game released, the response was overwhelming. Reviewers praised Metal Gear Solid as a masterpiece and a landmark moment for the medium itself. Reviewers frequently mentioned its exploration of nuclear deterrence, war trauma, and the cost of obedience. Heavy material handled with confidence. The game earned universal acclaim, landing in the high 90s across the board. Today, it holds a Metacritic score of 94, placing it firmly among the highest rated games of all time. But not everyone agreed on everything. Some critics noted the heavy reliance on codec conversations. Others felt the game leaned too hard into cutscenes. Even those criticisms were framed with admiration. And with that critical and commercial success secured, it didn't fade quietly into history. Instead, it went on to shape the future. Which brings us to its true impact, its legacy.
I've been through a lot worse, believe me.
In the years that followed, the industry didn't move on from it. Developers began rethinking how games told stories, and Kojima wasn't finished either. In 2001, Metal Gear Solid 2: Sons of Liberty arrived on the PlayStation, and it shocked everyone. It was marketed as a direct sequel starring Solid Snake, but instead it placed players in the role of Raiden, a deliberate act of misdirection. Then came Metal Gear Solid 3: Snake Eater in 2004. Set during the Cold War, it shifted the series backward in time and introduced Big Boss. This character's design was deliberate, heavily inspired by Snake Plissken from the movie Escape from New York, right down to the mullet and the eye patch. For many fans, including myself, this was peak Metal Gear Solid. MGS4 Guns of the Patriots arrived in 2008, tying together decades of questions. It was cinematic to an extreme, with a single cutscene that's over 70 minutes long. It gave Solid Snake an ending which few characters ever receive: finality. Alongside the main entries came spin-offs that explored different sides of the franchise. Then finally, Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain released in 2015. An open-world stealth sandbox that gave players unprecedented freedom. I was unsure of this game at first, but when it finally clicked, I could not stop playing. Unfortunately, it was the last Metal Gear game directed by Kojima, closing a chapter that had lasted nearly 3 decades. As you know, in 2015, Kojima went in his own direction, but the Metal Gear series continued without him. And also outside of this, you can see Metal Gear's legacy everywhere. It inspired new games with stealth systems like Splinter Cell, and inspired cinematic camera work and storytelling in games like The Last of Us. More than anything, Metal Gear Solid proved that interactivity could carry meaning in ways no other medium could replicate. Hideo Kojima didn't just create a franchise, he changed the future for video games as we know it, which brings us inevitably to the end. Looking back, Metal Gear Solid was never just a game to me, and the memory of playing it is more than nostalgia. It was transformative. It's the moment we realised games could aspire to be art, that they could be clever, cinematic, and profoundly human. Playing through it again over 25 years later, I thought about the first time I experienced it, sat with my dad, not even realising the impact it would have not only on me, but the world. And that being said, Metal Gear Solid, to me, will always be an artistic masterpiece. If you've played Metal Gear Solid when it first released, I'd love to hear your memories. And if you never played it, I hope this video encourages you to give it a try one day. If you enjoyed this retrospective, a like really helps the channel. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Broretro out.
I think I'm gonna like this new life.
Come on. Let's enjoy life.